you with me? With me. Okay. So I'm doing something I shouldn't be doing, which is I'm trying to replicate the version command now. So what is this version? Okay, yeah, so let's grab this. Okay. Okay. So importing version. So we go in here and we import everything. So we're already imported. So we want to just say dirty git repo. So okay, so if module name guidance with version else. Okay. So if you imported it, okay, so basically if module name, okay, so if the module's there, if it ends with that version, then we imported it, okay. And then we did git hash path, okay. So what if we just did so what if we just said parents to, so this repo or this file is Alice CLI, so Alice would be parents 1, so parents 2 would be Alice, entities Alice, which is where the git or where the package resides, git hash. Okay. Okay, so we can actually just pass it this file. So basically, if this thing okay, so short hash. Okay, so okay, no, I'm not gonna deal with this right now. So okay, let's go split out this stuff. All right, so a lot of random files in there. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with here. So this is the mess that we have created for ourselves. So grep-v All right. So here's all the files we have to deal with. So let's take a look at them all. Okay. So there's the main package. Okay, these are all directories. Okay, so here's Alice Git. I have to orient myself. That's where everything is. Okay, so this is the, okay, so we need to just throw all this stuff back in the same file now. Okay, so this doesn't go in the same file. Let's get repo. Okay. Create branch if none exists. Okay, so this create branch if none exists. So clone git repo should be separate. So this needs to be separated out. So, because the create branch if none exists. Oh no, okay, so that is, yeah, we're not really using that anymore. Because, yeah, it's not really working. What was it? It wasn't really working for some reason. So that's why we switched the tutorial to just do with it. Do with the other thing. All right, okay, come on. Okay, all right, okay, come on, okay. So, oh fuck. All right, that was the fire alarm. It's just going off at me. It's gonna freak me out again, probably. Okay. All right, motherfucker. Let's just do this. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Okay. Come on. All right. Okay. I'm burned out. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay. Okay. Create branch if none exists. Guess repo string is URL. Okay, so one of these, okay, so this is separate. Let's mark it as separate here. Boop, now it's separate. Okay, so what's the difference between these two, right? Okay, so this one here, so set mu. All right, so 22 through 55, what we're doing here is we're basically downloading. So we're saying, hey, you know, basically our Alice flow, our entry point to our Alice flow. Okay, where is our entry point? Empties Alice, 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 Alice. It's the only thing I say lately. Okay. It's better than data flow. It used to be every other word out of my mouth was data flow. So at least it's now it's Alice. So great. I'm stoked. Okay, so all right, okay, come on, focus. All right, what are we doing here? Okay, guest repo string. Okay, there we are. Okay, no, it's not here anymore. Is it here? This is why we need system context as class. Everything's so confusing now. Okay, so we just import df. Oh, we do df.cli command. That's right. Okay, thank God we did that. That makes me happy. Okay. Please contribute, recommend community standards CLI. Okay, so now this thing. So, because where's the base flow? I think that's what we need to start with here. Okay. Here it is, right? So this naming convention says this is base flow. Okay, so let's get rid of all this shit. This is just that's bad. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. Okay, we don't need that anymore. System context new auto populate config dev upstream. We don't need that anymore. Okay. Security how bad is this? Yeah. It's mostly a joke. Okay, so this was why was this here? Yeah, I thought I was really funny. Okay, so now I have to pay for it. So okay, so how bad is this? Okay, so not why am I saying this? Okay, it's in the video. All right, fine. We'll leave it past John. Okay. I'm pretty sure I had a dumb reason. Okay, but we'll find out, or we won't, or whoever watched the video, Alice will. Okay, so run the system context where readme context is on a given, is given on CLI. Okay, so create. Okay, so run this system context where readme context is given on CLI or overridden via disabling of static overlay and application of overlay to generate context dynamically. Oh, so this is just saying let's use the dash inputs flag and test that that works. Okay. So. Okay. And then we'll get rid of this. Okay, so basic. Okay, that's not how we're doing that anymore, right? Okay. Is it? I don't think that's how we're doing it. All right, we were gonna do at overlay. Yeah, I think we're not doing that right now. Okay. So. Oh, we need the we need that auto discovery of the entry points. That's right. To update the entry points txt. Okay. Yeah, we need to enable that. Okay, so that's been in the issue tracker for a long time. So what are we doing here? We're cleaning up. We cleaned up. Oh my god. we cleaned up the to-dos, right? And this is the base flow, and this thing takes Alice get repo. So basically, this thing doesn't do anything unless it gets an Alice get repo. Okay, so well, it also has this repo string. So what is using the repo string? We have to git grep repo string. All right, okay, here it is. Okay, so repo string. Okay, so here in the CLI, we see repo string. Okay, so this is where we do our little trick. This was a good trick, I gotta say. I came back to this today and wondering what happened here, and I can't believe we figured this one out. Okay, but now we get to use it again. So what we're gonna do here is, we're going to do the same thing here, right? And remember what we did was we were able to reuse the same flow and then re-scope things with a new input set context, right? That's what you get when you do a new flow. You get fresh context all over the place, and that's what we realized is we get all this stuff for free, basically. So, well, for free because we already implemented it. So, the isolation, that is. Okay, so this is the typecast. So it is. Oh yeah, so we're basically, because run custom is not as fully featured as we want, we just hack this together. So we're going to use the same thing. So unfortunately, I don't know how to program linearly, so I'm just going to start doing what I usually do because unfortunately I can't, I'm having trouble. So, so we're going to grab this. I'm just going to let it do its thing. What just happened? So, okay, let's go. Okay, so this probably needs to go. Okay. In here. Okay. Hold this for a second. Okay, so this probably needs to go in here, and so why am I saying this? Okay, so overlay operations good. No, okay, I don't think it does. Okay, so yeah, so it's not here. So this is please contribute recommended. Okay, so please contribute recommended community standards overlay operations kit. Maybe all of these should just be in the same file like they were. It was a lot more straightforward then. And then they wouldn't have such long class names. Okay, let's not do that. Okay, let's not get too crazy. Okay, so this isn't the right place for it. What's up with that? Oh, because I renamed this. Okay. So We're going to call this overlay. Okay, now it understands. Okay, so every time I sit down, I get tired. This is why I was standing. Okay. Okay, come on. Oh, this is like not that complicated. Come on. It shouldn't be that complicated. All we're doing is doing a different version of what we already did in a hopefully less complicated way. So this should be not complicated right now. So what are we going to do? I don't want to go get an energy drink. I don't want to do that. You know that's a bad idea. Okay, so all right. So for a little mint. Okay, so hmm. Hmm. All right. Okay. All right. So here we are. there's not that many files here. Okay, so permissions checks, pull request, issue. All right, let's put them all in the same file. Here we go. All right, Alice, please. All right, what do we want? Okay. So let's T it. We're going to T append all this stuff from all these Alice recommended community standards Alice files because I arbitrarily separated them. Yeah, I think we arbitrarily separated them. Sort of. I mean, I think there was some reasoning behind it, but I think that it needs to change now. So we're going to put it all in one place so it's all obvious. And then we're going to split it up. We're going to try re-splitting it up from there, supporting contributing standards, and then we'll refactor it again. All right, let's go. Okay. All right. So I think we got everything. So okay. So we'll pull all the imports to the top, remove any that are duplicates or internal. We'll run the auto format. All right. Whoa. I just noticed you can see the reflection of there's my desktop as glass, and you can see the reflection of it. That's awesome. Okay, that's really cool. Okay. All right. I guess I'll edit this. Okay. Remove unused imports. Okay, this is what we want. we want to pass this file. And before we do that, though, we're going to make sure that we save whatever we just did in this file by doing git add. Now we can do git diff and we can see what it did. Okay. See, look at that. Right, look at all those unused inputs. Okay. It totally doesn't know what to do with typing though. Are you sure about that? I think I see a lot of duplicate imports in here. But okay. What? Okay, it removes unused, not duplicates. That's the deal. All right, so we'll add that git remote in there explicitly. Okay, we really like text wrapping path lib, it looks like. Does this use nothing else? Seriously? That's awesome. We're doing a lot of command line stuff, but that's fine. The rest of this means the rest of this is being handled transparently by the other things in the flow. Okay, so okay. So here we are again, right? So we added everything back together. So GitHub owns remote. Okay, README PR. Right, okay, so now we're going to go through and we're going to refactor these, or let's see, so we should make sure everything runs first, right? Okay. I got to update the entry points. So they're all the same now. They're all in recommended community standards. Except for the CLI. Yeah, except for the CLI, which is in the CLI file. Okay, perfect. And then we'll have the metastatic analysis one as well. Okay. So that's all in there now. Okay. So remember our little setup.py gameplay trick. So that should update those entry points there. Okay, so now these have to be made to okay, so what line is this? 86? Okay, and it's looking for the thing that's below it. Okay, so let's just put it right below it. And then we'll start to split these out into functions. And then we'll have our nice little library. And then we'll call the library of functions from the classes, which are the data flows, which we add the types to. Okay. So 57. Okay, so this thing needs to move down as well. So, yeah, because, right, so we had them in a certain import order, and now we don't. So, what was it? Okay, so let's find where that overlay kit is. All right, so it's down here. So this thing needs to go, okay, so this thing needs to go below this standard overlay git. So this is probably something that needs to go towards the top. Okay, so 208. So we see that there's no GitHub issue yet. Okay, so this needs to go above this. Okay, and this is that git repo check overlay git. So this turns the git repo into the Alice git repo. Okay, so now we should be at the same spot. Okay. So okay, so let's add those. Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll put it all back in one file. So Alice, please contribute recommended community standards. Okay, so put all overlays back in one file. Okay, so going to extend to contributing contribution via subflow and to lock git repo between branch creations. Okay. Related. And then we'll put the link to our minutes here. Okay. All right, so now let's get in here and start hacking slashing. Contribute readme-md. All right. Okay, so okay, so yeah, so what was this? I think there was also an issue where it's like, okay, how do we know if it's so create file if not present? Okay, so let's separate this into README. So overlay README. Okay. Overlay README. Okay. Okay. So Alice repo, get repo to Alice repo. All right, so if it's a directory, all right, so this is operations get. Okay, and so with that should probably be this stuff here. This should probably be the same thing. This repo string is URL. Yes, get URL. No branch type given. Okay, URL type. So if there is a URL, so if it finds a URL, okay, so if it finds a URL, so these first three functions basically say, okay, look for URLs. If you find a URL and it looks like a Git repo, then go ahead and clone it. And if you do, right, so that's what this says, URL type. So if you find a URL, if you find a URL, if you think you have a URL to a Git repo, convert it so it will be cloned. Okay, and then here, if a Git repo was cloned, convert it to an Alice repo, Alice Git repo, so that Alice knows she should be dealing with it. Okay. Okay, so create branch if none exists. I think this is one of those where we'll probably, yeah, okay, so this one stays in here. Okay, so okay, so this is missing a definition from something. Okay, it's missing a definition of, or let's see. Okay, so this is the, Okay, so we got rid of something. So we got rid of, what was it? Operations get. So I got rid of the wrong thing. Okay, so let's keep hacking. Okay, so community standards overlay get determine base branch. Okay. I think this should be its own thing as well. Or let's see. Determine base branch. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so I think this should be under here as well. So we create the branch, base branch if it doesn't exist. Otherwise, we determine the base branch given the branch that is given. So okay, so readme branch, readme commit message. Okay, so this looks like it's just readme based stuff. So contribute readme MD. So this contributes readme MD to the Git repo. So contribute readme MD Git repo. Okay, so I think we're going to call it, yeah, so we'll call this contribute MD Git repo. And then it'll say this is overlay readme. Okay, so okay. Okay. So operations Git, overlay readme. Okay, so this has to do with the meta issue. So we're going to put that comment on meta issue creation. Okay. So this looks like some more readme stuff. So readme commit message. Yeah, so let's put that with the rest of the readme stuff. So that's now meta issue. GitHub Bones remote. Okay, so that's its own thing. This is the Git stuff. And then this is the README. Okay. Okay. Meta issue, and then meta issue probably needs to be at the bottom. Okay. Okay. Overlay meta issue. Actually, you know, I think we're actually going to drop the meta issue for right now. Yeah. I think we just won't enable the overlay for now. Overlay readme, overlay meta issue. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we have overlay meta issue. Overlay readme. Overlay git. Okay, so recommended community standards. README contents. That's README isn't used anymore. Okay. Okay, overlay git. Okay, so this is maybe overlay GitHub. Okay. Okay. So please contribute recommended community. So guest repo string is directory. Okay, so Alice Git repo. Okay, so if we have this Alice Git repo, then all of a sudden the rest of these overlays are going to start doing things. And what they're going to start doing is, if you have the git overlay or the overlay git enabled, then it will try to create an Alice Git repo out of a out of a URL. If it thinks it can clone the URL, right? Then if you do that, so determine default base. So does anybody else output base branch? Okay, so default branch, git branch type. Okay, so this makes this sort of necessary. Well, this is necessary for any git contributions, right? So if you're going to do git stuff, then you have to have this enabled. Okay, so that makes sense. So okay, so now if you have this, okay, so writable git remote origin. Okay, I think this is kind of a git thing, overlay git, right? So writable git remote origin. Okay, so where does, okay, so readme PR. Readme PR needs writable git remote. Okay, so so readme PR needs writable git remote origin. Okay. So, okay, so readme PR needs writable git remote origin. So if we output it from GitHub, right? Okay, so overlay GitHub. All right, so README, overlay README. So if overlay README is enabled, to overlay README, contribute README MD, overlay README, overlay GitHub. All right, so because we want to be README centric now, we want to be file centric, or you know, we're trying to think about encapsulating this because it's going to need its own lock, right? So that Alice Git repo is going to need to be locked. And it's going to need to be more specific, right? So we're going to need to have a Alice a README. So we're going to need to have something which is contribute README Git repo. Okay, and this thing. Okay, so contribute README Git repo equals Alice Git repo. Okay, so, and will you know what to do with that? I don't know if it's going to know the difference. Okay, so I'm not sure the orchestrator will know what to do, so I'm just going to do the same thing here that we were doing before. So let's contribute. Okay, right, so. Okay, so Alice repo, contribute README Git repo. Maybe just README Git repo. Okay, so okay, so Alice contribute README. Okay, so that's the type conversion. All right, so okay, so this takes Alice Git repo and produces README Git repo. That means, okay, so we need to block the whole bit. So we need to run this in a subflow, right? We need to lock the whole bit. So what is the CLI doing? So the CLI has this thing. So let's see what this thing is. Okay, so CLI run on repo. So let's get rid of that comment. Okay. Okay, so it takes an LSK repo. So previously we took a CLI run on repo. Right, so that was our scope. So now we're going to take this LSK repo and we're going to say repo okay, so we're going to say readme get repo. Okay. Okay. So we will, okay, so run custom repo, this repo. Run custom CTX. Okay, so we're creating an instance of this run custom operation implementation. And then we're executing it and we're saying repo is repo. Okay, and that means it's going to convert to this readme get repo and run the subflow. And when it does that, it'll kick in here and all of these Alice get repos become readme get repos. Okay, so now they're all readme get repos. Okay, so okay, readme issue. Okay. Okay. All right, body. Readme PR body. Okay. Readme branch. Okay, so this is overlay get. Overlay get, so overlay readme. Meta issue body, meta issue title, ask a repo. Okay, so these need to be changed. Or no, this is, yeah, okay, so this is Alice get repo, right? Because these don't need to operate on a specific context, right? So create meta issue, so meta issue body. So if you have a meta issue body, you can go ahead, yeah, and create meta issue. Okay, that looks good. Right, so basically if you have, yeah, so if you did the overlay readme, then you're going to have a readme path and you can do that. So, okay, and then you have readme issue. Okay. Commit message. body issue, readme PR title. Okay. Contribute readme git repo. Readme git repo. Okay, overlay git brace branch. Okay, so readme git and readme git repo doesn't need quoted. Okay, readme contents. Okay. $155. Oh yeah. Right, we'll get remote origin. Okay. Okay, could not determine primitive of readme issue body. We lost readme issue body somewhere. Okay, readme issue body, readme issue title. Okay, just looks like we lost it somehow. Okay, so we got some, it's just a new error. Great. Okay, so what do we got? So invalid run custom data flow context. Okay. Invalid custom run data flow context. Oh, because the because it's using it as the context. Okay, so readme git repo. Oh yeah, because it's only programmed right now to use the string input set context. Okay, so what about the okay. Okay, so let's see what we did to this file here. Please contribute recommended community standards. Okay, so here are our classes. Here's our entry points txt. So overlay git, overlay GitHub, overlay readme, overlay meta issue, overlay git, GitHub, readme, meta issue, and then recommend community standards, and then the CLI is its own file. Okay, great. Okay, so okay, run custom. Okay, so if definition primitive not and, so let's make this elif, and let's say if self dot parent dot config dot run dataflow config. So let's take an optional config parameter of custom run dataflow context. Okay. Okay, so we need a plugin type. Base. Okay, so we need a plugin type. Base parameter set. Definition set context. Input set config. Base input set. String input set context. Okay, so these need to be plugins. Okay, these need to be plugins. Okay. Okay, but this is the system context, so yes, this needs to be plugins. Okay. So okay. Okay. String input set context. Okay, so s add. Okay. So okay, so this is also that auto conversion. Okay. So maybe if we have a config dict, we can automatically convert. Like if the key, no, well, because you couldn't have a config dict and a key, but you could have a tuple as the config dict. Okay, yeah. You could have a list of tuples or a tuple of tuples. Okay, so okay. Entry point load. What if we made it an entry point? Now we can entry point load it. Okay. Okay, input set context. Class. Base input set context. Okay, so okay, CTX definition. Okay, so okay, so subflow inputs. So we need to create subflow inputs as there's a record set context somewhere. Record context. record input set context. Okay. So yeah, so we can pass so we can create, okay. Record input set context. Okay. Okay. So subflow inputs. Inputs, context, input, name. All right, so this is the value. The value goes there. Okay. So this should be the same as the record context handle. Okay, so we can take this with us. Okay. Okay, so what did we do here? Input set context class. Okay, so, so let's make that default to none. Okay, so then we create our subflow inputs using that class, and then later we'll add to them. Okay, great. So run custom, run the subflow inputs. Flow context. Okay, what is it called? Input set context. Subflow input set context. Okay. And then so down here, now we can say subflow input set context, subflow inputs, and then right here we can say input set context equals. Okay. Create the dict where we fill the one context with our inputs. Okay. Okay. So we're going to create the context. Great. If it's not none, so if it is none, then we bail. Otherwise, and then if there is no primitive, then we're going to bail. Otherwise, we're going to create it. That's going to be the input set context. Okay. So let's just go and confirm that's the only place that's used. So inputs Inputs, input name, inputs. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay. Okay, so base config attribute has no. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so it's complaining that we're instantiating with base config, which means that we must be in, we must be okay, so we're instantiating with base config, and what is it that we're instantiating? So that means the config object didn't get passed correctly, right? So we went to run this run custom, right? And something happened where it didn't like the config, right? So it said run dataflow.config .dataflow equals, okay, so let's break and let's see what's the config here. Still I run on repo. Oh, it's there now. Okay, so what is this? Base config. So why is it base config? Oh, because self.parent.config. Okay. Oh, because it's saying whatever the config of this is. So CLI run on repo. So this thing got base config. So its default config really should be, okay, so self.parent.config, custom data flow. Okay, so maybe we should just be saying data flow equals, right, because we're passing the wrong thing here. Okay. Init, missing one required positional argument config. Okay, so class. So why does the class not take, self.parent.config class.config. Self.parent.class as custom run data flow. Okay, so we're creating a new instance of ourself. So don't do that. So there we go. Okay. All right, so we were trying to create an instance of ourselves. Well, this class CLI run on repo, which is an auto def operation, right? So that's not going to help us at all. So okay. So now we can come here and we can define our custom record object. Which is of type the repo. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so input set context. Okay, so string input set context. Record input set context. Okay. And this is repo. Okay. Great. Okay, so add string repo.url. Okay. 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 Okay, so okay. All right, so now here, now that we have this, now we can say input set context class equals ASCII repo, and then it can complain it out so we don't have. Okay. So now we have, okay, so 204. So here, input set context class, so it's mad about, so convert value type class. Okay, so try to create this thing. Okay, so yeah, so when we traverse through the creation of a class, it tries to double check the type information, right? So it looks like basically it says it tries to reconvert it to the same class. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's go check this out. So base input, so let's go look in base. $248. Okay. So all right, so here we are on line 248. We attempt to convert. Okay, so if is instance, so the value is not dict. Okay, so it tries to get if annotation is not none. Okay, so it checks the types. Okay. Possible types. Okay, so I wonder if this is part of the problem here. So this should actually be it's actually a type. Or actually no, so this is actually a good opportunity for us to go and just do this the way it's supposed to be done, which is okay, so the way this is, are we still on that? Okay. So the way this is supposed to be done is we should have, yeah, so config loadable. Okay, no, that's not it. Okay, so if not dot load. Okay, so if you see the dot load, okay, then type in class. Okay, so basically, if this thing is a entry point loadable on 196, we see if this thing is an entry point loadable, then type in type class a type class. Then we come in here, so value is not dict. Okay, so we come in here, and then if convert. Okay. Right, so this is where we go through and try to convert. So if we said run custom, that it's going to take this base object I wonder if we just throw the this entry point. Okay. Okay, so now let's see what it is. Okay, so arg okay, so type okay, so arg data class run data flow config type class value is Alice repo. It's a context, so this is the value. Okay, so type class, if not dot load in type class. So dot load in type class, so that corresponds with up here. We would do, okay, so if our type dot load, okay, so that's because this is not a base data flow facilitator object. So anything that's a base data flow facilitator object is also an entry point. Entry point loadable and has the dot load. Okay, so base configurable meta class is not iterable. Okay, so point 160. Okay. Okay, so class loading. All right, so it's calling dot load on it. Okay, so if loading if inspect that is instance loading, return or is class loading and is subclass loading class return loading. I'm always shocked when inspect is not already imported. Okay, so requires config property or implementation of config class. Okay. Yeah, we're just gonna make it an entry point so it doesn't have that config thing. So, okay, so that looks like a typo. Okay, so something happened, but it doesn't look like it hit the same error, so that's concerning. So it should be hitting that error on the branch. Okay, instantiating operation implementation. Okay. Kickstarting context from child flow. Okay, so I think part of our problem here is that we're only adding the Git repo, and now there's like other things that are needed. So we should be adding all of the rest of the inputs. So we want that input set context to be isolated, but at the same time, we also need it to have certain things that were generated beforehand. So let's just see if we can add everything. So so run data flow run custom. Okay, so we want some kind of like copy on write input set context. So yeah, so we want to reuse it. Now we give recall. Okay, so we want to reuse the input set context. All right, so the input network, not the input set, it's the network that we want to reuse copy on write. So, oh God, done it again. Okay. Okay, the memory input network context. So we want to use this copy on write. It has, what does it do? C62 by origin. Okay. Definitions. By origin. Okay. Memory definition. What's the context? So if we wanted to copy one of these, how would we do it? Okay, so okay, so memory input network context. So if we wanted to have a memory input network context that does a copy on write over another input network context, if we had a copy on write memory input network context that could wrap any other context, what would it look like? Add context result. Okay, so it would take itself a input network context. gather inputs. Okay. So result. Okay, so added definition, definitions, check conditions. Okay. So you would take two. You would take the one that you want to copy on write to, and then you would take the one that you want to add to. So let's add. So what interface does this need to implement? Okay, so anything where you add, you just do to the one where you're looking at it, and then for gather inputs, check conditions. Yeah, for gather inputs and check conditions. What would you do? You'd have to do it across both, right? So from that perspective, it's not as transparent. So yeah, because you have that underlying by origin. Okay, so it's not trivial to do a copy on write thing with this. So how could we just dump the entire context? So definitions. Memory definition set config. Inputs definition. Base definition set context. Okay, so memory definition set context, base definition set context. Okay. How are we going to get all the definitions for the context out of there? So organized by context handle string and then by definition within that. Okay. So didn't we have a way? We have CTX added definition, definitions. Okay, so definition. Okay, so this is a definition set context. So basically, okay, so this grabs you all the inputs for a particular definition. So this should be an optional parameter. And then entry.definitions. So entry.definitions. Okay, so memory inputs it by origin. Dict definition input list. Okay, so basically we want this definitions object. Entry.definitions. Okay, yeah, so entry.definitions. Okay, so for item in entry definition sealed item. Okay, so if definition is not none, okay. I think that solves our problem. So okay, so what did we do here? So basically we made this definition a default to none. So if we don't pass any definition to this thing, it's just going to give us all the definitions, right? So yeah, okay. So that way we should be able to get every input within the context. So let's make sure we modify base too. Base definition set context. Okay. All right, that's a pretty minimal API change there, so I'm happy with that. Okay. Okay, so we can do okay, so okay. So now I'm glad we got output operations wrong at first, because or else we wouldn't have this. So output definition, so OD inputs, okay, there we go. Okay. ODB. Okay, so repo, inputs repo, okay. Okay. So copy all inputs from into child. We eventually should have input network which support acting as generic copy on write. Okay, so over the underlying input. So basically, so, and let's see, so OCTX, okay, so custom run data flow, self OTCT, OCTX. Okay, so custom run data flow. Okay. Run custom. Okay. Custom.config.dataflow equals, okay, so run custom.config.dataflow.seed equals plus equals, okay, so okay, so I see. So definitions. Okay. Okay, so 223 didn't like this. So 286. Okay, so so this should have been true that definition that. Okay. This looks like it's in an infinite loop. Okay, so that's no good. Okay, so it's in an infinite loop. Okay, it's in an infinite loop because it's going to trigger itself, right? So we don't want any input which matches the input that we just got, right? So item async for item in definition dot inputs if item dot value is not repo. Fuck, it did it again. Okay, so let's do repo. If item dot definition does not equal self parent dot op. Okay, so it's not self parent dot. Okay, yeah, I guess. Sure. Okay. It's really easy to create infinite loops with this stuff. Okay, so okay, so here we are. Seeding data flow with input set. Let's contribute readme inputs repo. Get repo spec. Okay, clone get repo. Okay, so how did we get here? Okay, so we cloned the get repo. We determined the default branch. And then we came in here and we said contribute readme. Okay, we got the repo out. All right, okay, and now we want to contribute the readme. And we try to clone it again. So why do we try to clone it again? So maybe we have the wrong definition on there. So readme get repo. Okay. So repo string. Okay, so maybe when we get to overlay readme, so when we get to overlay readme, then we really want you to stay within overlay readme once you're here, right? So GitHub announcement from now. This is almost its own flow in a way. Okay. So this is almost its own flow in a way. So all right, when in doubt, more print statements. Okay, so I'm a little bit lost at what's printing what. Okay. so there's nothing in the seed, and then we dump the whole bunch of definitions. Now we've got Alice Gear repo, and okay, so it's not item dot definition. Okay, so this thing not going as well as possible. Okay, so it didn't find okay, so keys repo input key, okay, values. Okay, so yeah, so I forgot the definitions are in the values. Okay, and now we don't get, okay, so now we filtered out Alice Git repo. Okay, we didn't filter out enough. Alright, so basically copy all the shit, but don't copy the shit that's going to re-trigger everything. Right, so don't copy. So maybe we really just want to remove some of the operations actually. And data flow, okay, so OC2X config data flow. Okay. Okay, so how do we do this? So should it all be kept to here? So overlay readme, right? So overlay readme. So if you had overlay readme, then you would have overlay metadata. Metadata, or the meta issue would overlay the readme overlay. And so I think the question is the self-contained still? So do we have any interaction up here? Create branch if none exists. Okay, so that's a thing. Or no, that happens on the download. Okay. So what about base branch though? Where's that used? Okay, so base branch. We have an interaction point there with overlay get and determine base branch. Okay, so it needs that base branch. So it needs that base branch. Okay. So maybe okay, so if we created a data flow out of overlay readme and checked if the definition was in it, then that tells us if we should forward it. So how do we do that? Okay, so readme. Okay, so then we register the entry point there. So this is just, you know, temporary. So to do equals. Okay, so to do modify this to have self a reference. Okay, so the class data flow is from if, okay, no. Self.class, okay, self.class, okay. Self class is the open. So I don't know what we have to do here, but it needs to be cleaner, right? So this is the overlay readme data flow, right? So this is okay, overlay readme data flow, and then we can remove this. All right, let's see. All right, so basically now we can just say, hey, you know, if it's in the C, okay, well, that didn't work. So what is this? What is this overlay readme data flow? Not defined. Where are we? Base. Base. 250. Okay, we're right here. Okay. So maneuver a list of items. Okay, so okay, so it has some definitions there, so that's good. So is this another dot value situation? Yeah. Okay. That looks more appropriate. Right, so now it's basically going to say, okay, so definition, Oscar repo, Okay. Alright, so if it's for this overlay but not to recall this operation that we just called, please call us. Right, so writable remote origin and base branch. Okay, well that finished up too quickly. Well, that seems perfect actually to me. So I'm wondering what's going on. So readme git repo. Okay, so you know what it is yeah, readme git repo. Okay, so extracting context, git repo spec, receive git repo spec, receive git repo spec. Child flow, extracting context. It's none up, it's none. Seeding data flow with input set. Alice, okay. Let's read repo definition equals Alice contribute readme inputs repo. That seems like the wrong definition name. Okay. Okay. To data flow seed. So okay, so it's not getting the readme git repo the way it should be. So recommended community standard overlay readme. Okay. 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 So All right, let's see. So what definition is it being added as? Okay, so here we are. Okay, so here we are. We're at the breakpoint. Line 203. Okay, or 204. I'm going to cut to 203. Okay, so put it in value. Okay. So where did that definition value come from? Let's contribute. This is like a really long auto-generated name. So what happened here? Okay. What happened here? It's a really long auto-generated name. Okay, so definition. So where's definition come from? So parents inputs input name. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Self.parent.op. Okay, Alice contribute readme. Okay. And her inputs. Okay, so inputs repo equals. Okay, so now let's see here. Okay, so okay, where's the data flow? Actually, we can go in here and self.config that data flow. Okay, self.parent.config that data flow dot definitions. Okay, so that giant mess is not in this list, right? So something's up. Readme get repo. Yeah, so readme get repo is there, but this giant, whatever the fuck this is not. So what's going on here? So it's auto-defing that. And it shouldn't be. So it's auto-defing it probably because of this replace. Right, so self-parent op run custom data flow dot op custom run data flow. So run data flow imp custom run data flow. So the op equals op dot replace readme get repo. Okay, so maybe I hate what this is. Okay, so what? Okay, that's so dumb. Okay, so we're at the second breakpoint. So check out the op again. Wait a minute. Okay, GH issue view. All right, create README file does not exist. So that means that got the README Git repo. Does that get it? Okay, that doesn't get it. All right, so there's a problem here. Okay, so likely read. All right, okay, so what do we got now? README PR title, README PR body. All right, let's go take a look at Mermaid. See what's up. Okay, so what's gone wrong? Okay. README Git repo. Okay, so it would be nice if you could say README Git repo. Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could say I wonder if we said, yeah, so if we just don't return anything, we put the return type on there, will it fix up the... I think that cleans it up a little bit. Here's the CLI stuff, CLI run on repo. And I wonder if we can make CLI stuff. So do the same thing where it basically says repo string, but I'm not going to return it. Invalid custom window for outputs. Oh. Okay, so this is, yeah, this is done. Okay, so this should be okay. Invalid run. Custom window for outputs. That's good. CLI run on repo. Okay. So now what it's done is, okay. So I think the diagram probably looks prettier, but it's functionally more broken now. Okay. Okay, that looks like it's stacked more levels like it should be. Okay. So so CLI is asking for recommended. Okay, so we come in here, we get the CLI. We look at the repo is string. Guest repo string means no git branch given. Okay. I don't know what that's doing right now. It doesn't seem to be hooked up to anything. Is that why it's not hooked up to no git branch given? Okay. Relate git outputs no git branch given. Return true. Okay, so why isn't that being Why is this not being passed? String, okay, I think it's the flow. Okay. All right. So yeah, so why is that no get branch given not there? I'm not sure, because it should be connected to this over here. I'm not sure what's up there. It looks like this check if the repository URL is working. So okay, what else do we got? Create branch if none exists. Okay, so here's this repo. Okay, so now we're seeing that the README stuff is on the bottom here. Okay, great. Version name. Version system. I just want to be able to see better. Okay, so these subgraph names are still long. Oh my god, look at that. Oh my god, we can actually read it. What a concept. Okay. Wow, look at this. It's legible. Okay. Okay, so we come in, we say run repo. Okay, so we see this disconnection here. Everybody. It's weird. I always feel like the most clear-headed around now, which is like whatever the fuck in the morning. Larry, fuck yeah. All right, back to it. Okay, so yeah, it's a lot easier to read. So create branch doesn't exist. Determine base branch. Got the default branch. And then you take the result and you say, hey, you know, the contribution, the README is going to need that from a Git perspective, and the PR is going to need that. This is looking great. Okay, so it doesn't work though. So that's no, it doesn't do us any good if it doesn't work. So okay. Okay. Didn't I just say? Oh no, I added short name to the other one. So there we go. So with short name, so without short name, The long names, the short name. Look at the short names. All right, great. All right, okay. Let's keep packing. Okay, so example diagram. Okay, so um, okay, so the problems we have now, I'm pretty sure, are coming from the fact that, let's see. I'm pretty sure they're coming from the auto flow, yeah. Okay, so it's not accepting from seed. Oh, it's not accepting from seed. So we have to fake the origin. So we fake the origin. Oh, this is interesting. So we fake the origin when we add the input into the subflow so that it still thinks it's coming from this operation because it is coming from this operation. It's just actually, this is actually doing its sandbox effectively. Like, so this operation is actually returning readme get repo, but it's not really returning readme get repo. It's forwarding it. So from that perspective, so run custom. So how do you set the origin on something? Okay, so new input, origin, instance name key. Okay. So yeah, let's just forget this. We don't need any inputs. Yeah, so as far as this thing concerns, there's no inputs and no outputs. Or well, it can't have no inputs. Okay, so the origin is just the interesting part. So parents. Okay, so are we actually, should we actually just take this input? So we have this input object. The origin is us, so self dot self dot parent dot object instance name. Okay, and then key would be outputs dot values. Alright, so basically give me the one value that's going to be the output. So parents. Okay, so definition is All right, so key. Okay, so okay, so create the input object. Okay, so definition, parents. Okay, so this is one of those where it's like, honestly, could we just have that input object, please? And then this would be a lot easier. So, we don't have that right now, and I shouldn't try to do that right now. No, I want to. It'll be quick. No, it won't be quick. Don't do it. Okay. I guess we have to set parents to none. I hate this. Okay. So when this thing's called, it should. Okay, fine. Okay. Repo equals repo. Okay. Okay. Okay, so this should. Custom run data flow out. I didn't like that. Okay, so if not that input. Okay, so we're not to here yet. So this is basically the exact same code. Okay, so okay. Okay. So this thing does the repo string, but it's not going to return it. So it is also saying, hey, repo string. Okay, so and this one, when it runs custom, it also says repo, and repo is the same thing. Okay, so this looks like the same code. Okay, so now, so basically, yes, this looks like the same code, only we want to do repo string, but we're going to get that from the definition. So inputs is repo string. Okay, yeah, so whatever the output is. Okay. Okay. Okay, that works for me. Okay. Operation has no attribute operation. Parent.opt operation, that instance name, okay, 140. Repo. Okay, so now we're screwing this up. Okay, so inputs. Can we wait a minute? Where'd that? Can we have something a few seconds ago to fix this? Okay. Okay, so and then this becomes whatever we're trying to typecast it as. Alright, so outputs is repo, or well, inputs is oh, I see. So it's supposed to be like this because I'm supposed to go change custom. Okay, so input CTX input. Okay. And then down here, what do? We just we loop over inputs. Okay, so stuff.parent.op.inputs name. If I don't, okay, so not is instance value input. Okay. So now we basically added this thing that says, okay, if it's an input, just treat it as an input. So definition equals self parent op input name. There's more T, okay. Input name, okay, so okay. Okay, so inputs is whatever the definition is. Okay, so now I type it to definition. Okay, so now happy. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we're on here. Okay. Seed inputs. Okay, so we came through. Excuse me. So 131, 132. So we'll just run custom here. So custom div for CTX. Okay, so what is custom run data flow CTX then? Oh, I see. Okay, so okay, so this one. Okay, I see what it's saying. So it's complaining that okay. Okay. Okay, so now we gotta do a special case for this, where we do dot value. Okay. Um, I think we caused an infinite loop. Okay. Okay. Times is 310. Okay. Enjoy. Okay, so what did we see here? What happened? So we came in and still streaming. We're still streaming. We're still streaming. All right. Okay. YouTube hasn't cut out on us yet. Okay. So CLI run on repo. Okay. So we hit that, and then we jump in here. We instantiate the data flow again. It says CLI has repos. CLI is runtime this repo. Okay, so then CLI run a repo. Okay, and then we have check if valid give repository URL. Okay, so the problem is that we're doing these CLI things again. Okay, so we want to, okay, CLI run on repo. So we want to do something similar to what was done here, where we basically say don't do this. Okay. 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 So this says now do not add. So this is used to ensure we don't add any inputs that would re-trigger this any operations within this overlay when calling the subflow. Okay. Okay, so okay, but now our problem is over here. So I like the way this is coming together. Okay. So now we have our translation we talked about many weeks ago. So attribute error object has no attribute. Okay, look at that. So we got somewhere this time. We didn't quite get our failure back that we want. That issue where so basically readme pure body. Okay, so let's I think we mostly just did little internal things there, but let's see how it looks. Okay, so did that get back connected up, that no get branch given? Okay, so maybe that's part of what's going on. Let's see, so branch, no get branch given goes to readme or let's see, internal base branch. Okay. Okay, readme issue, readme commit message, readme PR title. Okay, so we get through to here, but readme commit message is so readme commit message is not there. issue. Commit message. Okay. Contribute readme MD. So we have commit message, we have repo, we don't have base. So I think what we're missing is base off of this determine default branch. So I think this no get branch given is our current issue. So okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go through and do some commits here. Short name one was good. Okay, so for forwarding flows with short name or short op instance name for slicing off long paths. Okay, what's next? Okay. Okay, so these were next. So this is git commit df definition set context make definition optional parameter yield all if not given. Okay, so this input network context. Okay, so we did a few things to run custom. Okay. We'll do this util entry point first. So commit sn util entry point return class if loading, if class, if entry point to load given is loaded class. And we'll say use config type conversions. Okay. Okay. Alright, we gotta do this data flow one first. This makes sense more. Okay, so commit SM operation, data flow, run data flow. I'll put run custom. Okay. What did we do here? We enabled explicit inputs and alternate input set context. Explicit passing input objects and set it allow and setting and usage of alternate of custom input set context. Okay, so now we got the rest of this. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Alice. Please configure exchange. Okay, so refactoring into overlays associated with each file contributed. Okay, so still they're currently broken, not passing. Okay. So let's go figure out why that is. Okay, come on. Okay. Where's it? That's um. All right, so we committed all the stuff. Okay, so now let's go figure out why is that not going. So all right, so let's look at the YAML because I don't do well with JSON. So okay. What is with all this question mark situation? It's probably to denote a key that spans 2 lines in YAML. So this is ugly. Okay, so what are we looking for? No branch. No get branch given. Okay, no get branch given. And then guest repo directly means no get branch given. So this one outputs a result of no get branch given. So the first thing we should check is this thing actually running? Right, so this guest repo is running. Okay. Okay, so what do we got here? So processing results true. Watch. So go through this one. Okay, let's look for this Git repo default branch. Okay, so it does run that. Okay, so then what about this determine base branch? So it does run that. All right. So then true readme PR, does it run that? Okay, it doesn't run that. Okay, so contrib readme PR has the base branch. It's the commit message. All right, I'm gonna take a break.